Hello and welcome to Back to the Boardroom. I'm Greer.
And I'm James.
And we're here for the selling task, one of my favourite tasks of the whole series, where the candidates have to run around and do some really cringe negotiating. So I watched a lot of this episode sort of behind my hands while they were trying to get an extra 25p off some items and mispronouncing everything. So I think we've got a lot to talk about today.
We do. Interestingly, it's also apparently Lord Sugar's favourite task. He said that in the episode. He was quite disappointed and he seemed quite upset. He was like, it's my favourite task and they've ruined it.
I think he said at the end, didn't he, something like, this is the worst group that have ever done this task, which I think, was it? I mean, they were not great, but I didn't think they were like horrific. It was probably, as you say, because it was his favourite and he was disappointed.
I guess this is the task where the teams are provided with a list of items that they have to source and buy in Jersey. So they've got, I think it was 9 items with extra specifications. So, for example, I think the shackles had to be 16 millimeters. They don't get told exactly what they are, so they have to work that out somehow. They have to figure out where to go on the island to source the items, and I guess what would be a reasonable price and where to pitch for their bargains.
It's always a fun task because they are given a binder of... Now, okay, I'm going to have to say, I've started watching The Apprentice as if I'm you. I've been influenced by having a look at all the little details, and I'm sure everyone listening to Back to the Boardroom is doing the same, because I can't stop seeing what's on the computer, how bad the design is of something. And I thought, why do they do this? When they have that folder of items, why has someone chosen to lay it out with a big bold name of what the product is and then a little specification, and then you've got to flip over to the next one? I just thought, who chose that design? And then I was like, oh no, I've turned into James.
It's all for the camera. It's all for the camera. I bet you it had to be that size so the camera shot would work. And yeah, and it would be more dramatic as you turn over. I don't know.
You're probably right. It's so everyone at home can also see it as well. But I really, really enjoy the beginning of every task at the moment, because we are seeing the people battle it out for project managers. And I thought this one was great. We've enjoyed the excuses that they say at the beginning. Oh, I'd be really good at this because I've done XYZ before. But this time there was a battle between Noor and Raj for project manager on one team. I really enjoyed when they were putting their case forward for Luso, who said something that she seemed very serious about. She was like, are you comfortable with reading maps, as if that was a key point to the task? And then she had to clarify and go, like paper maps, have you done it before? And Noor was like, it's not rocket science.
No, but also I don't understand why that's a required quality of the project manager. Anyone on the team could be charged with reading the map, right?
Yeah, and we actually saw the map, and it was very much like a tourist map. So it wasn't what I was imagining when Faluso was getting all, worried about paper maps. I thought it would be like when we did Duke of Edinburgh and you had the OS map out and you had to look at contours and all of this. No, it was just a nice illustrated map of Jersey that showed different roads and bits of the island. It was very quite like something you'd get on a cruise if you'd stopped there and were given it to walk around. So it was very manageable, I thought. I was going to say, on the other team, we also had a bit of a battle for project manager. We had 3 people wanting to go for it this time. We had Jack, who said, negotiation is what I do, which we'll come on to. Amina, who really wanted to give it a go. And then we had Moira, who you really like and have put some money on. Not really.
It's our winners battling it out to be project manager, Amina and Moira.
She did say, I have the gift of the gab, which I thought was good. And I've written for later on some of the candidates' wonderful moments of the gab, if that makes sense, because I don't think any of them had it as a gift. Lots of battling out, but then it became Jack, who was very happy with his 8 years of experience in negotiation, so he should do well. And then we had Raj on the other team, and I'm not really sure why she was picked out of the two of them. It didn't seem that there was any difference, but popularity, Raj got it. So what did you think at the beginning of the task?
It's just all about the approach. Like, what can you do and what can't you do? I don't know. I don't want to give too much away from my pitch. So maybe I'll ask those questions after or in the pitch. I'm not sure.
All right. We'll look forward to that then. But we'll have a little look at some of the strange products that they had to buy. But first of all, James, you've got a bit of detail for us about the narrator this week.
Yes. So I have a confession. I don't know if I got all of the hours this week. I really don't. Maybe I was tired or not. I'm sure I would get told off by Karen or Lord Sugar for not putting in 100% effort. But for those who don't know, we are doing a challenge where we predict how many distinct hours the narrator says. So when they go 4 p.m., how many of those will get ticked off across the complete season? I believe I went with 17 and Greer, you went with 20?
I did go with 20. I was pushed on my answer with little time to think, but I still hold out hope.
So I can't remember how many we're up to now, but we only saw 3 distinct hours this episode. So 9:30 a.m., 2 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. And that's if I've not missed anything out. I might have to do some homework and revisit this episode at a later date. But we're going to disregard the half past, so it will be 9 a.m., 2 p.m. and 6 p.m.
Nice. I'm excited for the update to see who is winning, because this podcast has turned into a bit of a competition as well, hasn't it?
Just a bit.
Just
a bit of friendly competition. Can't hurt.
Exactly. It's all in the spirit of The Apprentice. So let's go through what is my favourite part of this whole challenge, is seeing the candidates open up that binder and look at some of the products that they have to find, because whoever puts this together finds some great products each time that they've never heard of before, and people get very confused, and I love it. So let's have a look. The first one that I thought was good was a Jersey Wonder. Have you ever heard of a Jersey Wonder before?
I had not, but I don't know why. I had the same, I can't remember if it was Team Nexus. Nexus were really good at identifying the products. I think far better than Supreme. And yeah, I think, I don't know why. I had an inkling that it was a bakery item.
That is good. I didn't. In my head, I just thought potato, but that's Jersey Royals. So I'd never heard of them before, but I did a bit of digging, if you want to know, because I also do a podcast about the Great British Bake Off, so I do love a baked good in the end of August through September, but also in my everyday life. So I had to look up to see whether I've eaten one of these before. So a Jersey Wonder traditionally was cooked as the tide went out, apparently, in Jersey. And if they cooked them on an incoming tide, the fat in which the Wonders were cooked in would invariably overflow in the pan, which I thought was interesting. The nearest English equivalent to the Jersey Wonder is thought to be a donut, although Wonders are never coated in sugar or filled with jam. So they're a traditional baked good, and apparently they're seen at fundraising events all around the island and are good for tourists.
I've never been to Jersey, but I will have a Jersey Wonder if I ever do.
Me too. That's what I was thinking. I've never been either, which reminds me that I think Raj said, I'd like to be project manager, but I've never been to Jersey, which she added in. And that was a theme throughout in some of the negotiating as well, which is hilarious. Some of the other things that they had to buy were a 16mm shackle. Did you think a shackle might be for a boat when they mentioned it?
Again, I don't want to portray myself as knowing it all, but I did. I wasn't 100%, but my mind kind of went to boats just because I've seen. I think I follow someone on Instagram, a friend from university who is constantly on the Channel Islands, and they do a lot of sailing. So
that's
I
good.
don't know. That's
Insider
where
knowledge.
the link
Yeah.
came in.
That's good. I thought, yeah, definitely it could be boats, sailing, but I also think maybe it's something to do with farming as well. Like you get Jersey, like the milk and stuff from the cows, so dairy is a big thing. So I wasn't sure. But I had a little look. Obviously, we saw in the episode them going to a boat shop or something, marine shop. But I did have a look, and they said it's a extremely strong U-shaped piece of equipment that connects items together, usually rigging systems from boats and ships. It also said it's like a locking mechanism in padlocks, and a carabiner is a type of shackle used in mountaineering or climbing, which I have heard of before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Put some context there.
Good
Not
research.
as cool as a Jersey Wonder, but there we go. The other thing I thought was amusing, but also very distinctive to Jersey, was the 35 centimetre plus. I'm trying to remember how to say it because they said it in so many different ways. Bashan, whatever. But no one knew what that was. We had some excellent pronunciation. I've even written them down phonetically. Batchin, everyone was calling it a batchin.
Love a batchin.
Yeah, Amina went with Bashin, which I thought was very nice. Backin, someone said. And also, Amina didn't quite get it because later on she said Bouchan. And I was like, not Bouchan.
Yeah, I have to admit, I had absolutely no idea what that would be.
No, I didn't know at all, but I just thought they've got to ask someone, ring around, ask someone in the street. But apparently, a bashin is a large brass basin that's used for cooking preserves, such as black butter over an open fire. It has a wide range of other uses, including cooking soups and boiling water for baths, because it's a historical sort of item. Apparently, many householders in Jersey would also put their bashin. Bashin. Many people would also put it on the windowsill, apparently, to catch and reflect the last sunlight in the house so they could leave their candles for later on. And apparently ringing it is also a traditional practice. So apparently parishes across Normandy, Brittany and Jersey before the war would play them to create a large ringing sound in order to ward off evil spirits. So it's definitely embedded in the culture, history and spiritual side of Jersey. And the last one that I need to talk about is the freshly shucked oysters. Now, I knew what shucked was. It's a great word to say. But no one else seemed to know how to say it. We had shackled, even after the vendor had said exactly how to say it. But it's just removing the actual oyster meat because you have to sell them closed still, I think, for the freshness. And then when you see them served in restaurants and stuff, they're all on one half of the shell. So they've been freshly shucked.
Okay, so Greer, the secretary segment. I'm sticking with what I named it.
It's my favourite thing now.
I'm gonna have to disappoint you though, because it's not really an update. The things I noticed was we had a pie chart and a bar chart again. I feel like the pie chart was a bit more exploded this time, you know, when the segments are a bit not as near the middle.
Yeah.
That's awfully described, but yes.
We can picture it in our heads.
And well, the only two other things I noticed was I saw the word price near the bar chart. So I think and I actually looked back, and the bar chart had 12 bars. So I think the fake Excel document is maybe tracking price of something over a 12-month period.
That is stealthy viewing there. Did you pause and count the bars?
No, I did have to go back on iPlayer.
Oh, okay.
I had an idea, but I wasn't happening in the episode, so I did a bit of extra reading.
Amazing. I love it. You're very like eagle-eyed watching. I think that's yeah.
And the only other thing, and I don't have an answer to this, but you know, on Microsoft Windows, you have like the search bar in the start menu.
Yep.
There's there's some icon in that search bar, and I don't know what it is, and it's annoying me. And I feel like it's like an ad thing that they've installed, and they've got some sort of ad in the search bar, but don't know what it is. Maybe I'll find out. Don't think it's detailed enough to see. But
I was thinking, is it going to be Cortana, the voice thing?
I don't know.
Siri?
It looks like, you know, when something just looks like it's some bit of just like adware that you install.
Yeah.
You know, remember like I don't know if you remember that, maybe this is showing my age, but like we're
the same age, James.
You would install like adware toolbars on your like Internet Explorer.
Yeah, I do remember that.
MSN bar or something like that, and Yahoo bar, and
it's usually something when you download something else that it just randomly comes with it, and it pops up one day, and you think, okay, I've got to get rid of that now. How did that appear?
Exactly. You got to watch those checkboxes on the install wizard.
Maybe she's been on LimeWire, as we all used to back in the day. Maybe that the dashboard she's creating is a cover-up, and she's really just torrenting a bunch of movies.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Speculation, allegedly.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing I wanted to bring up about the secretary or the receptionist is that Lord Sugar got her to bring all of the candidates back in later on in the boardroom. And I hoped we'd see her running after them sort of down the corridor. No, come back, come back. But we didn't get to see them be told that they had to come back in. That was obviously a producer. But I wanted
Stop
the
secretary.
Carriages. Yeah. I wanted her to get up and like run down the corridor, so it was a bit of extra drama. But no, she still sat there.
Press the button to lock the doors.
Oh yeah, she could have done that. She needed to watch the torrents. That's why she couldn't get up.
So on to the elevator pitches, and for those of you who don't know, this is the part of the show where me and Greer go head to head, 60 seconds on the clock, and we pitch as if we were pitching to Lord Sugar or you, I guess, the listener, as to what we would do for this challenge. We're changing it slightly this week because obviously the challenge is buy these items. So we're going to go for outlining our strategy on how we would tackle sourcing these 9 items in Jersey.
It's going to be a difficult one, but I think what we've learned in this episode is having some strategy, even if it's bad, is better than none.
Absolutely.
So I've got 60 seconds on the timer ready to go. James, you want to go first? Feeling ready?
Yes.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so my strategy for this task, I think that it's just implied that you have to have 2 teams. I would go off the cards and say, why can't we have 3 teams or even 4? You know, I think the 2 teams is not enough. And again, this poses the first question: what are the constraints? Similarly, on the constraint topic, can they ask anyone anything? I would have potentially one member of one team go out immediately and get a list of everything they don't know and just ask random people in the streets. Maybe that's a bad idea, but I feel like addressing the items or finding out all of the items immediately could be a good task, I guess. Time?
Yeah.
Time? That was awful then.
You've got a lot to say on this task. I can feel it. Lots of questions. Do you want to tell us your questions, or are you sticking by the rules? Are we never allowed to know?
I've got to stick by the rules.
Oh, damn.
I'm going to put 1 minute on the clock, 60 seconds, Greer. Given that I run out of time, I think you're going to sort this one easily. So
don't say that.
Ready? In 3, 2, 1, go.
Right, so when we pick who's going to be project manager, I think it is the right thing to do that if there's 2 people, the other person is the leader of the sub-team to go out. So I'm going to stick with 2 teams because I was thinking maybe they've only got 2 cars to go round in or something. So stick with 2 teams. But I did agree with you. I thought if you don't know what something is, as soon as you go out, if there's someone randomly doing their shopping in Jersey before you get into your car, just ask them, what is a bachin or a back-in or whatever they were calling it. But then I'd appoint one person on each team whose job it is to go through the local directory while we're in the car, going to maybe like the biggest area, the biggest city, busiest area, to say, okay, ring up any client, any person from Jersey saying, okay, what is this? Can you help me? We're doing this. Can you tell me what this is? So actually you just ask one person. So they get down what they are. Then you think about which ones are the highest in value. So you start looking for the high value items to begin with, or at least the ones that you think, so hard. Strategy's hard in 60 seconds. Damn.
I agree with a lot of what you've said. I think I would have probably said similar if I'd actually articulated myself in a more prompt manner.
That's fine. I was rushing through. But I do think the key is to organise the items in, I was going to say like the most expensive, but the ones that you think you can get as much saving or the negotiating actually off. Because that is half the task, really, how much money you can get. But
see, the thing that I thought was really weird about this task was, I mean, again, I don't know how the fines work, but surely a fine must be worse than actually buying the item for maybe overpaying for the item. Surely a fine is going to be worse than overpaying. Why did both teams not get the Jersey Royal potatoes? Like, this is surely an easy item to source and would prevent potentially a hefty fine.
Yeah.
Yet neither bothered.
No,
I remembered.
Jersey Royals are synonymous with Jersey. It's what you think about when you think of Jersey. That and cows for me. So yeah, you'd think immediately, right, someone go get the potatoes. They did end up going to like one of those sort of small little stalls, which was shut because it's like the end of the day and people who were desperate for potatoes would have gone out and bought them already. So they tried in the end, but it just didn't happen. So yeah, you're right. Weird one to not get. But maybe strategy goes out the window. Maybe it's just panic on the day. That's what it seemed to be.
Definitely. Like, I don't know what... I can't put myself in their shoes because, I don't know what the constraints are. And I'm sure the constraints must be a bit too harsh for them to make mistakes like this.
Let's have a look at some of our top moments from the week. And I think one of the main things that we have to talk about is the terrible negotiation. And I say terrible, some of them were all right, others were a bit cringe, but it's just I could not bring myself to negotiate with people on such a large markdown that they were suggesting. 50% from Raj, 75% from Jack. I would not have been able to go into anyone's shop, regardless if they were an artisan producer or a retailer. I would feel so embarrassed to go in and ask for something so small. One of the ones, for example, they asked for 24 Jersey Wonders for £4. I couldn't have even got that out of my mouth.
No, I would be rubbish at that. I'd feel too bad, to be honest.
What did you make of this plan to mark down the products? Obviously, you wanted to start off with a lower bid, but saying let's go in at a 75% markdown straight away, that just seems so weird to me.
It does. Ambitious and just, I think, far too low. I mean, no one's going to say yes to that. Maybe the feeling is they meet in the middle and they get a quicker offer that they're willing to accept, but it didn't work that way. It's always, they always go, 5% then. Meet in the middle about 5 times. Too low. And I think it really annoyed some of the sellers. So they probably gave a worse discount because they were pissed off at the audacity. I haven't used that word yet.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Lots of them were just stood there going, no, which I really liked. I just thought, 75% is just so cringe. But it seemed to be that when they were pitching with a lower amount, as you said, the vendors were getting pissed off and annoyed. But then that made the other candidates slightly panic and start jumping in with random offers, which just looks so unprofessional and as if they weren't cohesive as a team.
The negotiation, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of jumping in throughout the whole episode, and I thought it would be a bit more planned out. I do think one of the worst negotiations was the Jersey Royals. I think given that, sorry, Phil, given that you had to make them and box them yourself, the other team got such a better deal, and they didn't have to do any of that.
I know. I think that was so funny when they went in. Was this because when I googled Jersey Wonders, it came up. The first thing, good SEO, was Jersey Wonders from Babs. Because we had Babs on there. Yeah. They went to her. And I went to have a look on her website to see what is a Jersey Wonder, because there was going to be a page that said what they're about. And it 503 errored for me.
Oh, no.
I know. So I thought I'd let you know that as your tech detail. See, I am turning into you. Yeah. So when they went in to make the Jersey Wonders, I just thought, okay, that could have worked out well. But they started off with £4 for 24. She was like, absolutely not. You can help, which I think she saw an opportunity to have her business on screen more, which was great. But then what I thought they did wrong is they didn't then plan the price before they started making it, because they were like, just all this time, Amina was worrying, oh my God, how long is it going to be to actually make a batch of 24? But yeah, they sort of seemed to be having fun, but no one had done any negotiation. They were just working for her.
Exactly. They jumped in before locking down the price, which could have gone worse even. One of my favourite moments was with also someone helping to make the product, and that was, I think of Steve. That was with the glass blowing, the sea salt glass jar. So you can have it for £21 if Steve blows it himself.
I thought the BBC were doing a bit of clever editing there when the man said, if you like blow it for me, and then Steve kind of pulled a face and the music kind of stopped and we all waited for the nation to have a laugh at the innuendo and then it kicked back in, which I thought was good. I was like, oh, BBC One have cracked a joke.
Of course, they didn't want to miss a trick there. But yeah, like it was a bit of fun, and they got a good deal, so that was good.
The other thing that I loved is one of the items was a jersey. Now they're in Jersey looking for a jersey, but one team thought it can't be as straightforward as jersey just meaning a jumper. So Amina was there going, what is a jersey anchor? I have got no idea. When really it was just a jumper with an anchor on. And one of the teams bought one for £91.
It's expensive, yeah.
It is. Expensive jumper.
I don't know whether it was a specific jersey with an anchor on, or would you get the marks if you got any jersey that had an anchor on it. I'm not.
Yeah, that's true. Would you still get a point if you went to M&S and just bought a jumper that had an anchor pattern on or something? You're right. Or did you have to go to a specific producer or something?
I'd argue with Lord Sugar that it's filling the brief.
I did enjoy in this episode, we got to see so many different sort of selling and negotiation styles. All of them are cringe. I am not cut out to be a salesperson. It makes me feel ill, as we've established in all of the episodes of Back to the Boardroom so far. But I've got so many ridiculous quotes from the people because, I just find it cringe because they're really trying their best. And something that I hated, that I imagine you did as well, was when they start complimenting the vendor for no reason. They've just got there and they say things like, Jack, right? He was at the vineyard looking for some wine, the brandy. And he went, it's my first time at a vineyard personally, and I'm absolutely loving it. I thought, you've just walked through the door. You've done nothing. It's just cringe. And then he also said, I've not had brandy before, but I can imagine it.
Yeah. So some of these lines are quite funny.
Yeah. Paul even went as far to say, the scenery here is wonderful.
Yeah. It
Yep.
was, yeah, that made me chuckle.
Moira, she said she had the gift of the gab, and so much that I could see was that she just said, "Help a poor Irish girl out," which made me want to throw up. But she did do the deal for a surfboard with "Help a poor Irish girl out," but Jack wasn't having any of it.
I don't think it was a very good deal.
It
I
wasn't a
thought
good deal.
And I don't know. I can't say whether like Jack I don't know whether it was a hindrance or whether it was going that way anyway. But I don't know. It's just disappointing.
So funny. I've got to say another one because it's just great. Phil, with the Jersey Wonders, said, "Please, Babs, what's 25p among friends?"
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I have to quickly go back to the surfboard because I remember
please do.
another great moment, and this was from Flo from Team Nexus when they were like, "Oh yes, we're going to go to another shop," and they walked out and then straight back in. Like, come on, you're not fooling the owner. If you're going to go to the other shop, at least stand there for 5 minutes so it gives the impression. But I mean, once you've done that and you come back in, the owner knows that you're making that up. He's got you there, so you're getting what his
a bad deal,
his price exactly.
That's the sort of thing that I just could not handle. The cringe of that, I can't handle it. And in her negotiations, we seem to think Flo is actually pretty good in negotiating because Lord Sugar has praised her skills in the past. But in the surf shop, that was an awful moment.
Yeah.
But she said, "You're the best surfboard merchant around."
I was just about to say that.
You could tell she was never been in the market for surfing equipment before with that line. Just surfboard merchant made me think of wind-up merchant as a phrase. That's the only thing I could think of. And what was it? Like a pinky promise I won't tell anybody.
And you're telling everyone because it's being filmed for national TV.
Yeah, in Jersey and in the whole of the UK. Everyone's going to see it.
One more thing. Top moments. Do they really have to run to the lighthouse?
Or do they need some extra tension? Is the producer going, "Go, go, go" at the end? I want to know whose idea it was to piggyback Amina.
I didn't even notice.
Did you not? Phil had Amina on his back. They were late, but they had time for a piggyback.
I'd like a bit more of a breakdown of the fines, to be honest.
Of course you would.
I want to know how much they got fined for being late, how much for the wrong shackle. So then we could say, oh yes, they got fined X for the wrong shackle. If they'd actually forgot the shackle and got the Jersey Royals, they would have beat the other team or something like that.
We're going to have to ask some of the candidates, aren't we?
Yeah.
We'll get back to you.
I bet you they don't get a breakdown.
They'd want one as well, an itemised bill.
Now for part of the show where we check in on our predictions. And as we said earlier, Amina versus Moira. So our predicted winners, they both had were up for potentially project managing Team Supreme, which eventually ended up being Jack. And funnily enough, all three of the potential project managers were back in the final three.
They were. I feel like this week is bad for me personally because I blindly chose Amina to win the entire thing in week 1. And as we know, she has been given the boot already. So out of me and you, I'm the first one to have a prediction completely go down the pan, which is a bit embarrassing. But there we go. That's the way it works in the boardroom. But yeah, I was disappointed to see Amina go. But Moira, she's still there. She's doing some funny moments, but actually she's quite strong. So we can hold out hope that one of our predictions might get through to the final.
Fingers crossed, yeah. I think we've also got another prediction wrong because we said first double firing. And I feel like we said episode 6 or 7 and it happened in episode 4.
I said it is earlier.
And I did want to say something. So, I said all 3 of the potential project managers were brought back into the final 3. So then Alan, Lord Sugar, sorry,
Al.
decides to, do the curveball drama, bring them all back in, and then ends up firing 2 out of the final 3 anyway. So was that really needed?
He wanted a bit of drama, didn't he? I think we should go back to the boardroom now and actually discuss the shock that Lord Sugar faced with everyone ruining his favourite task. And yeah, for the first time ever, bringing back in the entire team. And he just didn't really want to hear it again from anyone. He got them all to be quiet. And I think he said your favourite line again. I've had enough. I don't want to hear anymore.
Don't want to hear anymore. No, exactly. Exactly. I did like, I know it wasn't a full breakdown, but I did like hearing the the reason they've got fines. So both people fined for not securing potatoes. And obviously Supreme got fined for not having a glass jar, the wrong shackle, and being late to the meeting point. Unbelievable.
And did you see the looks on Amina, Jack and Moira's faces as the others came back in? They were like, what is going on? It was a bit dramatic. I liked it.
Oh, I guess because they didn't get told.
Yep.
Yeah.
They all argued that they should stay, especially Amina. She did say a lot. And I was surprised when Lord Sugar does that. Right, okay, so Jack, and then started to say it as if Jack was going to get fired, and immediately swapped to Amina, and she had head in her hands. Fired Amina, but then he went straight back to Jack with a short one-liner, very punchy, and I'm sorry to say, Jack, you're fired as well.
Yeah, they do it on purpose. They vary it up so you never know until you know.
I bet he really loves that. I bet that's his favourite thing. The power that he has in that moment with his finger, he is absolutely loving it. Yes, yeah. There's a buzz that he gets, you can see.
From the boardroom to the treat then, and again, I think we're still going up in value. I thought this treat was better than the escape room one. I would have, good experience, right?
Definitely, it felt like a treat this time. I don't think the Tomb Raider experience or whatever would have been all right last week, but actually this one's more my thing, so I would have counted this as a treat. Out of all the ones we've had, I'd have liked to have done this. Now it's time for the Apprentice news, the part of Back to the Boardroom where I give you some behind-the-scenes gossip from the terrible tabloids and social media accounts that I've been scouring this week, and we've got a few interesting stories.
Before you start the news, from last week's news and talking about the firings, I did notice both were wearing scarves.
It's so funny, isn't it? For the continuity. Now everyone is always going to check out the scarves. That's going to be on their kit list to bring. You're part of the Apprentice, bring your firing scarf.
Yeah, your best scarf.
Even though it might be a really warm day, bring and wear a scarf. So this week I've got a couple of interviews and some more behind the scenes stuff about the house, because the house doesn't seem like the best experience that they've ever had. First, we're going to the Mirror with Jack, who has just been fired from this week, and he is doing an interview about his time on the show, but he's also saying that there was a bit of an embarrassing sort of moment going back home to his family after being fired, because he said he ignored his dad's advice. His dad had told him, Jack, do not, whatever you do, go up for project manager on the buying and selling task, because it's a lottery of who goes. And what did Jack do? He went up for project manager on the one his dad warned him about and got fired.
That would be an awkward conversation.
There was another interview, and I don't know if you remember Rochelle Anthony from last year. She came in the final two with Marnie. Yeah. She was saying that one of the things that are really hard about being on The Apprentice is sort of the social media reaction every week, because obviously we talk about the good points and bad points, and hopefully we have a bit of fun, but we're not actually mean to the candidates.
I hope not, anyway.
Yeah, hopefully not. Whereas some people actually are. I think you have to remember that the people going on The Apprentice, they are just general public like the rest of us. They're business owners and they're going on for an investment opportunity. But Rochelle says that that they're made to look dumb or more embarrassing, their decisions bad and things, actually in the edit, which she says they choose what they want to air, and that's really frustrating because they don't always show the good bits, they show what makes good television.
Good TV. Yeah, I do get that, and you'd hope most people watching it understand that. And we go back to what we said earlier, the constraints that no one knows, like if you didn't know that you weren't allowed to use Google on your phone, which I presume obviously you're not, then people may think, they're absolute fools for not knowing what a Basham is. I've probably butchered that, Bashan. But like we don't know the constraints they're under, so there is more to it than you see.
Yeah, exactly. I think it always blows my mind when you see comments on social media or on the end of tabloid articles, just how little media literacy some members of the general public have when they're watching these shows. Because I think we're, as you just said, we know that there's extra bits that we don't see, and we can then sort of fill in the gaps of the grey areas in our mind and give them the benefit of the doubt. But Rochelle says that it would have been great if the production team would have helped the candidates prepare for the kind of comments that the general public would make, and it leaves them open to criticism by calling us dumb. And they were very vocal about the way the show goes, and she just says, I don't think anything can truly prepare you for the amount of comments people get on social media, fully believing what they're seeing on screen to be the be-all and end-all. So it's an interesting one to consider.
I would really struggle with it. It'd be horrible, to be honest. I'd have to disconnect, I think.
Yeah, go on do not disturb forever, I think. And the last bit of news this week relates to the 17.5 million mansion that the Apprentice stars stay in. And now this was an interview with one of the fired candidates, Paul Bowen, who was Pie Man Paul. Discussing his time. And he said, obviously he's had a great time, but the one thing that he would change about the Apprentice mansion, which is on Billionaires Row, apparently in London, is that considering it's a multi-million-pound house, he said they could spend another tenner getting us a decent mattress. So it sounds like the sleeping is bad.
That's not good.
No, you need a good night's sleep to do good business in the morning. Considering you get woken up at 5 a.m. or something with a phone call, you'd hope that sleep was the best one you've ever had. But
I can't remember who said. Well, I mean, loads of people have probably said it, but a lot of people recommend invest a lot in a mattress because your back health is important, and an investment up front could reward you later on when you don't have all the back trouble or health trouble.
Next week's Apprentice task is going to be a good one, especially for a motorsport fan like James, because they're going to be designing a new Formula E team. So I'm imagining new logos and branding so we get some more terrible designs, and they're going to be pitching for sponsorship. And they're going to do multi-million-pound negotiations in week 5. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yes, as you said, my motorsport passion is probably going to really kick in next week.
More details for everyone next week. Don't forget you can subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. And please say hello in our Instagram comments at Back to the Boardroom, as we love to hear who's listening and what you've thought of our podcast so far. Thanks for listening to this week. It's been a good one, running around Jersey, finding a bachin and shucked oysters. But for now, a final thought, James?
A final thought. So I saw Verdi posting about a coffee card, and I just wondered, what's the longest run of losses that someone has had without getting fired? And could you make it to the final without winning a task?
Or will that count against you? Who knows? Anyway, that's it from us this week. Thanks for listening to Back to the Boardroom. See you next week.
See ya. Bye.